This is the journey to one Africa.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Gabon voted in favor of the two draft resolutions introduced respectively by the United States delegation and the Russian delegation to express our support for the Palestinian and Israeli people, as well as our commitment to peace. It is that commitment to peace and the desire to protect civilians that led us to vote in favor of the resolutions introduced by Russia and then Brazil on the 16th and 18th of October. Through this vote, my country is reaffirming its support for any initiative allowing human lives to be saved in order to improve the fate of civilian populations and to ensure de-escalation. Those references appear in both draft resolutions which Gabon supported, namely condemning terrorist acts which took place by Hamas against the Israeli people on the 7th of October, the right to guarantee civilian people and civilian infrastructures as well as protect humanitarian workers. The important need for a supply of goods is absolutely necessary for the civilians in Gaza. The requirement to immediately release without any conditions all hostages, our commitment to a peaceful solution to resolve the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, as well as our commitment to a two-state solution. We regret that antagonism within this council and the lack of unity has meant that we are unable to arrive at a consensus text. We are aware of the fact that the texts put forward do not take on board all of our legitimate concerns, but Gabon feels that these draft resolutions contain elements which could make a difference on the ground, in particular on the humanitarian front. Acts of terror carried out on the 7th of October by Hamas led to a resumption of hostilities on a large scale on Israeli soil in Gaza and in occupied West Bank. All of the indiscriminate bombings which have followed have led to an escalation of violence, the repercussions of which have been dramatic on the civilian population and have destabilized the region, and they require a response from the Council. Once again, Gabon is calling upon all parties for restraint to respect their obligations under international humanitarian law. Unfettered access, an end to forced displacement of people in Gaza, the opening of humanitarian corridors, the unconditional release of hostages will undoubtedly contribute to the calm that we all seek. We reiterate as well our call for a lifting of the blockade against Gaza and the cessation of hostilities, which would put an end to the despair that men, women, and children who are now facing as they stand before death. We support the Israeli victims, and it's crucial for those who are accountable for the acts carried out by Hamas to be brought to justice for their actions. We will continue to repeat it. The solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is political in nature. Diplomacy, negotiation, and dialogue are the only ways the international community has to ensure that the legitimate concerns of both parties are respected. Self-determination and the right to security and will guarantee peace and security for the Palestinian and Israeli people.
Thank you, Mr. President. We regret that once again the veto has been used to prevent the Council from shouldering its responsibilities in a critical situation that demands decisive action. The trajectory of the ongoing war between the State of Israel and Hamas is simply not sustainable and could engulf the entire region if we do not effectively mobilize as a council. The civilian cost so far is unacceptable, and more human suffering would occur if we do not act. It is for this reason that we are deeply saddened by the Council's continuing inability to positively influence events on the ground by speaking in one voice to protect civilians and to stop the bloodshed. Indeed, Ghana had hoped that the US-sponsored draft resolution, which as a council we had worked on over the weekend to improve the humanitarian language including clear references to humanitarian pauses, could have garnered Council's support. While we supported the draft resolution, we still believe that the order for civilians and UN staff to evacuate all areas in Gaza, north of the Wadi Gaza, and relocate in southern Gaza need to be rescinded to save human lives. We thank the Russian Federation for their draft resolution. However, we would have wished for more time to consider the various proposals. In concluding, we reiterate our call for all efforts to be directed towards de-escalating the rising tensions and for our actions to be guided by humanitarian considerations, even in this difficult and tragic moment. I thank you.